Indeed, we do have a giraffe, a very big, old male giraffe that is a beautiful dark colour. He's a magnificent specimen, this particular fella. He's got kind of massive size, and like I say, it's just a kind of beautiful colour. Sometimes you get these giraffes that are very dark like this, and I say an old bull because just his sort of general size obviously is massive, so fully grown, but also the way that his head is. You can see that he's got huge amounts of calcification on his head. Between his eyes, there's this sort of area where there is these bony deposits that have taken place, and that always is a good indication of how old a giraffe is, because as those begin to develop and the older they get, the more there will be that kind of bump between the eyes. You can see it when he turns his head side on like that. And so those calcifications start to take place when a giraffe reaches maturity. So you'll find that when he's kind of around 7 years old, which is at a point where they are starting to compete for mating, his skull will, be fairly flat on that forehead. But by the time he reaches 14, his skull can actually weigh more than double what it was at 7 years old, just due to the fact that that calcification has taken place and his bony deposits between the eyes and on the forehead have gotten so large. So it's pretty incredible that they get that. And what it's for is basically to help with their ability to dominate other giraffe and the ability to get breeding rights. And so the more bony and gnarled that head is, the more it hurts others when they're actually fighting and trying to establish a sort of hierarchy in terms of mating. Obviously, they're not territorially dominant, but they are. They've all got to compete for females at some point. It's interesting watching him. He's kind of just going to all the buffalo thorns so far this afternoon. We've been feeding extensively on buffalo thorns. He seems to just enjoy them, and it's amazing that they can feed off them. Us as people, if we were to grab that branch, would be in severe pain, yet those little nimble lips and tongue is able to kind of just go and feed off it, no problem. Ever-present oxpeckers on him as well, which is generally the case. You can also see a bit of scarring from filaria there as well. Now, I suspect that he might be going towards Buffelshoek Dam, so I'm just going to go round. We'll cut him off on the other side. We're not far from the dam at the moment. And so if we do go around, we should be able to pick him up and not lose him. Conquer depends if you're in a car or on foot, but generally giraffes kind of stare at you and look at you, and then you get to a certain point when you get too close, then they decide, nope, that's close enough, and they move. So most of the time they're not too aggressive, but they will kind of watch your progress and just make sure that they keep an eye on you, and they'll allow you to a certain distance, and then they start to move away. Some giraffe are more relaxed than others. In Kenya, some of the giraffe there are ridiculous. You can drive right up to them and they don't move at all. In other parts of the world, like here, that's not the case. You find that giraffe end up kind of being a little bit more sort of shy and reclusive about their movement. So you'll find that it just depends on the individual, but most of the time they don't just stare at you and then move away. If you're really kind of threatening them, then you might get a situation where they potentially are going to potentially attack you. I mean, there has been incidents of people being attacked at times. So there has been times where giraffe has taken exception to somebody being too close, or maybe they're walking a dog or something like that, and the dog frightens them. There was actually an incident recently in Hoedspruit, which is the town to the north of us, where a lady and her son were walking and a giraffe attacked them, and it was quite bad. I think, I can't remember which way around it was, but one of them passed away and the other one was left severely injured. So Giraffe can be a dangerous creature if it's spooked and it feels like it's got nowhere to go. Then you'll find that they can be a bit kind of hectic about their sort of approach to life. But this guy's weird. He's kind of done weird movements. Normally, they normally kind of, go in one direction, but he's been going back, forth ever since we found him, which is weird. Lilygirl, you're asking why does it look like he's bleached around his ears and his neck? It's probably just more apparent to you because of the darkness of the rest of his coat. Normally these giraffe, are a little bit lighter, and so that whiteness doesn't really show. But what you'll find is, like an impala or a leopard or a lion, it's basically a follow me signal. So those white ears are much easier for other giraffe to see. Okay, that's where the giraffe or the rest of the herd is, and then follow in behind them with those white ears. So yeah, it's just kind of follow me rather than anything else. But they're not bleached. It's just the fur is white there, which is pretty typical of a lot of animals. They have some sort of white or black marking depending on where they occur, that indicates to others. Right, now a vehicle just came down this road, so I don't know, they didn't say that they were in the area or that they saw any tracks, but we'll just check. It would have been nice if they had said that they were here, because we could have asked them very nicely to look very carefully. But it's fine, we'll just double check. One vehicle's not going to damage things too much, I don't think. We should